Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams were blasted into space for an 8-day mission, the first crew to fly Boeing's Starliner capsule. But the issue is that the mission began over 2 months ago. They could be stuck on the International Space Station until early next year due to issues with the Starliner's propulsion system. The issues include faulty thrusters and helium leaks. The malfunctions have called into question the spacecraft's ability to safely return the crew to Earth. They could return in February of 2025 on SpaceX Crew Dragon.
Earlier this month, NASA announced it was still performing safety tests on the capsule, and on Thursday, NASA officials said, quote, "We'll come home when we're ready." Now, the U.S. Space Agency has been discussing possible plans with SpaceX to leave 2 seats empty on an upcoming Crew Dragon launch, which could be Wilmore and Williams' ticket home. So could Elon Musk be coming to the rescue? That's what it sounds like to me, Jessica.
He could. The SpaceX engineers could have built something that could make it there and back. I think, it's scary to be on a mission and be expected home in mid-June. There's all of this reporting on space.com that's like, they're not actually stuck. The propulsion system worked when they docked. Then why are they still in space? They are absolutely stuck.
Yeah.
They say that, we don't understand the issues enough to fix them permanently. The only way we can do that is take time in this unique environment and get more data and run more tests. They supposedly have enough oxygen and food for some time. And supposedly they were aware of the helium leaks early on, but that wasn't a major problem. But what's really the problem is the propulsion system. I think if I were them, I would be freaking out. I would be super claustrophobic, but they're prepared and trained for this. But this is scary. I would be scared.
Oh yeah, I'm scared on their behalf, but they're keeping cool and making the best of it, and now potentially expected back sometime next year. Wow, it's going to make a great movie one day, hoping, obviously, praying, assuming everything will work out. Like you said, they do have enough food and water. They're not in imminent danger. It's not about to explode or something. They're just having some issues that NASA is working on that SpaceX might be able to resolve. And so they will very likely be able to get home safely. But it does go to show you that this kind of work is dangerous and takes real bravery and courage to be involved in the space industry, which I think is very important. I want humans to colonize Mars someday, hopefully soon. Our futures lie among the stars. I'm a believer in that. But we are at the we should be grateful to people who are willing to risk their lives, as things have gone wrong sometimes, to broaden our horizons and explore space. And I really hope they make it back safely.
Yeah, I hope so as well. To leave with, 2 astronauts and come back with 4 is something that supposedly the SpaceX craft has the capacity to do. I guess there's some traffic that goes back and forth on a somewhat regular basis from the International Space Station, so they can hitch a ride with someone else if they don't feel good about this craft. I don't know, it reminds me of what's the fitting a round peg into a square hole thing?
That's the saying.
That came, I don't know if it came from it, but I was at the Space Museum in D.C., and one of the...
You visited our Space Museum
I did.
Recently?
Yes.
With your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
He likes planes and space stuff, and I was a good girlfriend, and I was like, wow, look at all the big planes. But there was one thing that was interesting, because there was one of the missions, they had this issue where something broke, and it was like a round pipe valve. I don't understand spaceships. It's rocket science, Robbie. It's very difficult to understand.
Yeah.
But it needed to be attached to a square thing, so it was like they found some way to attach them. I don't know if that's where the phrase came from, but they fixed it.
Geniuses.
And they got people home, and
Geniuses.
people back in Houston walked them through it over audio, and they're like, okay. So very interesting.
Very interesting stuff.
This seems more complicated than
It
this.
seems more complicated than that. Have you been doing a tour of all of our, getting to various museums under your belt?
I went to the Native American Museum.
Okay.
They didn't have a Haudenosaunee flag, which is where I played lacrosse. This is the people who invented the game of lacrosse, and I was a little upset that the flag
invented
wasn't
it?
flying. The Haudenosaunee, or the Iroquois.
Ah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They played it to
sure.
settle disputes, which is interesting. It was more violent then. They would hit each other harder with sticks than we get hit today. But a good way to settle disputes. But no, I've been seeing the museums. The Space Museum, like these astronauts, made me claustrophobic. It's a lot smaller than it looks on the inside. There's a lot of like stuff hanging from the ceiling, like planes hanging from the ceiling, including, Robbie, like one of the X-Wings models, not a real one.
From Star Wars.
Star Wars is real, and it was real.
And it will, but it's happened a long time ago in a galaxy far away, but...
Luke Skywalker would have these guys out.
I'm a little behind on Star Wars content right now because I have not watched yet that new show, which I know everybody disliked, but did you watch it?
I've heard that the premise is there are twins, one is good and one is evil. So it's like a lot of other Disney movies.
Even a lot of other Star Wars things.
And they like pretend to be each other. It's a very, you know, twin swap movie.
Okay.
That's people have criticism because the actors have been like, oh, but the dark side's so cool. And people are like, that is not the point of the movie.
The dark side's pretty cool, though.
I know. And so like some people are just like unnecessary critical of Star Wars. They could just be like, well, bringing people back from the death is cool, and they said they knew how to do that.
I'm not unnecessarily critical of Star Wars. I actually like a lot of, you know, I like the prequel movies that everybody is always criticizing very, very much. I'm very fond of them. I was fond of the Andor series. It was great. At least some of The Mandalorian was very good. I think the new movies are absolutely
What do you think of
terrible.
Boba Fett? Do you like Boba Fett?
It was not that good.
It was a little slow. I thought Ahsoka was not very good either. It felt too dramatized.
I like Ahsoka more. I really like the character Ahsoka, so I really wanted to like it, and I thought it was fine. It was better than Boba Fett. It could have been better.
I'm going to say something controversial yet brave about that.
Stunning.
So Ahsoka, the cuts were very awkward. It was like zoom-ins of facial expressions and then the other person's facial expression, and it created like a weird and unnecessary sexual tension. And
between who?
And I was like, is Ahsoka lesbian? Like Ahsoka, like
between you and Ahsoka.
all of her buddies. No. But like it was weird cuts, and I was like, I'm getting awkward vibes. Like it's a little Love Island right now, the way they're zooming in on people looking at each other. Anyway, it made me feel just weird. I was like, this isn't how Star Wars is shot. But if only we had cameras inside of the space shuttle. I bet they're having interesting conversations in there, Robbie.
Maybe the same conversation over and over. Did you watch that Mr. Beast video where he pays two complete strangers to live in like a space together for a while? I don't watch a lot of Mr. Beast content. I did watch that. And then he comes in periodically and like takes the money they're gonna win. They're like, well, you'll win less money, but here's like a TV or something.
Yeah.
I thought it was really great content.
It's very
I thought it was very enjoyable. And they made it through, and they collected some very large amount of money at the end, and they seem to mostly get along. And
yeah, he uses his money for interesting things. He produces interesting media, and he sometimes solves problems with his money. He's like building wells in Africa and things of this nature. I like the parody posts that are like, after Mr. Beast becomes president, and it's like, I bought Japan. It's like very funny. I would like to see that. Mr. Beast is too young to run for office, which is surprising to me. He looks old. Apparently, experimenting with people's lives and paying them to do it drains you.
Can't imagine. Can't imagine being drained by the work we do day in and day out. Well, that does it for us on this week for Rising This Week. It's been great being with you, Jessica. We will be back next week because it never ends and every day brings a new joy to our existence, reading, discussing, and debating the news, and we will have more of that very soon.
And if this is even real, you can like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who listen while you're on the go, we are available wherever you get your podcasts.
And do tune in for our Friday show tomorrow, which will be with Amber Duke and
me.
And you?
Yeah.
Is it you?
I think so.
Man, we are working you pretty hard lately.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Thank you. All right. I'll see you next week. Jessica will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.